As with all self-made people, Danny Zambilowitz started a newspaper because he needed a job.
I needed a job that's probably the most honest answer. I came here with certain skills from the big city, from cities Montreal and Toronto, and I arrived here in '93. And basically I'd always been some kind of a writer, editor. I'd never published a newspaper. I didn't have a lot of experience with newspapers, but I'd written articles and reviews, and especially in college newspapers and so on. And I'd done a lot of editing, professional editing, and writing, copywriting. So basically, it was an attempt to use the skills that I had to try and create some income here. And I noticed that there wasn't an alternative publication, so I always enjoyed the alternative weekly newspapers in urban centers like Toronto and Vancouver.
How do you make a living from a paper that I can pick up anywhere for free?
Who says I make a living?
Oh, well, I don't know.
It's a humble living, and the newspaper is completely financed by advertising. And the advertising scene changes, and it has changed a lot, as everybody knows. It's a tough time for print media, and that's true of the Word as well, of course. I have a history of dealing with alternative newspapers. This is from Montreal in the 60s. It's a newspaper called Logos, alternative underground newspaper. And I helped distribute them at the time in the late 60s. And I brought a whole bunch home with me as souvenirs. So the Word comes out of that tradition, sort of alternative weekly newspapers. Most urban cities, most cities in North America have one. Of course, the George Strait is the well-known one in Vancouver. And so I thought I'd try and create something like that here. The focus of the alternative press is usually it's progressive, so progressive stories, politically progressive, dealing with social issues, very much arts and culture, and very, very local. So in August of 2001, I started the Island Word. Basically I'd never produced a newspaper or published a newspaper before, and just thought I would try it. A friend of mine named Alan Gear actually provided me with the software to do layout, and without that I wouldn't have been able to do it, so I thank him for that. And so we started in August of 2001. September of 2001 was a major incident, of course, 9/11, and so the third issue of the Word, this is the third issue, which actually covered, that's how we dealt with 9/11, and there's all kinds of stories. There's an article by Jean Dugal, who wrote for many years in the newspaper about having a Muslim relative, which was a wonderful point of view at that time when people didn't really know what was going on. And so we did a number of articles in that issue.
So if people want to learn more about the Word, where do they go to find this?
Where do they find the Word? The Word itself it comes out every month, so the first Friday of every month. It'll be in stores, restaurants, cafes, institutions, especially in the Comox Valley, so Cumberland, Courtenay, and Comox. We also distribute about 30% of our run in Campbell River and some of the areas in between. Some of them go out to the islands, Denman and Hornby especially. So it's out there. There are places in downtown. So cafes, I guess, in downtown Courtenay probably would be key places to find the paper.
And the Sid Williams Theatre?
And the Sid Williams Theatre, absolutely. Sure, all the downtown institutions, the library, Edible Island often has lots left over, or a few. And the website is islandword, www.islandword.com.
So if you want to find out what's going on that isn't in your local paper, you can go and find a free copy in the theater, restaurants, grocery stores. They're all around the Comox Valley and in Campbell River. From downtown Cumberland, this is Judi Murakami for Shaw TV. Most writers write about something that they know well, but for Kunio Yamagishi, he wrote about the internment process in Canada, which he actually didn't go through. So for him, it was writing a totally historical fiction. So Kunio, tell me about this book that you've written. You're a first-time author, aren't you?
Yes, I am. Well, this is a story about a Second World War Japanese immigrant to Canada who went through the internment camp. And after staying for 43 years in Canada, he finally decided to go back to his country, to reunite with his wife and 3 sons. He left and he has never seen since.
Now, usually people write about what they know, but you didn't go through the internment process, did you?
No, I didn't. Well, I learned the internment camp after I came to Canada. It was a deplorable incident for Japanese Canadians, and I thought I should write about something about internment, and this is a fruit of that thought.
Now, the story is riveting because I was hooked from the very beginning.
Thank you.
But I found some of the incidents very dark. And you seem like such a happy person. So how do you go into those dark places?
Very solitary older Japanese gentleman who came to Japanese consulate general in Toronto to renew the passport. And that image etched in my mind for a long time. And I thought, this is the image I have to use. Since Japanese internment camp was a dark history of the Canadian Canada, and I thought it's just a perfect image I have to use for it.
Now, I actually haven't finished the end of the book, but is it going to be positive or are you going to keep me in suspense?
It's very poignant story. The internment camp itself was a poignant incident for all Japanese Canadians. And the ending of the story, I will tell you right now so that you can enjoy. But there are lots of suspense and there are lots of unknown factors, which I hope reader can enjoy that.
Now, the Comox Valley is featured in your book because a lot of the Japanese Canadians worked in Cumberland in the coal mines. How long have you actually lived here in the Comox Valley?
I lived more than 15 years in Comox Valley so far.
Did you do any research here in Cumberland?
Yes, I went to a Cumberland Museum and a Courtney Museum, and I dug up all kinds of periodicals, newspaper to write this story. And I read 5 major studies about Japanese internment camp, and that helped. Those helped me a lot to write this story.
So if you'd like to buy the book, you can always go to Laughing Oyster, Blue Heron, Cumberland, or you can get it online at Amazon. It's available for the US, the UK, and Canada. From the Comox Valley, this is Judi Murakami for Shaw TV. Projects for children, seniors, and the communities have shown that yes, women are key to the success of Rotary in Canada. What are women bringing to Rotary International?
Well, number one, they bring all the skills that are associated with women. They bring in a whole new dynamic, which means it's no longer just an old boys' club. and the vitality and the vibrancy that women bring, plus the way a woman thinks. And I think we are sometimes the workhorse of Rotary now, because we certainly are carrying a huge load, and we love doing it.
As this is the 30th year of Women in Rotary, it encourages more women to join and encourages that blending of men and women, which is a hugely successful coordination and cooperation of working together, I believe. Yeah.
And Joanne, what do you think that women have brought to the Rotary Club of Comox?
I think that it has been, as Judith was saying, it's been a collaboration that works very well. You have people with all kinds of different mindsets and skill sets and talents, and you bring it all together and it works.
Our club was the club that built the big pavilion down in Sims Park, so in the first water park at Lewis Center. So we've done some big things like that, and we do lots of little projects with various clubs in the valley.
One of our projects is the Rotary Orchard in Cumberland, and it's at the end of Camp Road. So that's been a project we've had for a number of years. The Cumberland Lodge is very dear to our hearts, and so we support them with a lot of things like purchasing items they need. And we also, Village Park in Cumberland, there's the water park and the playground. We contributed to that as well.
Well, our most recent project, and we did have collaboration from Strathcona and Courtney Club as well, was the splash park at the marina, which, it's just so great to see all the kids playing there in the summertime. And
that's quite new.
It's quite new. It was opened last August, and it was a collaboration with the town of Comox. And so we were very, very happy to be able to make that contribution to the community.
Projects for children, seniors, and the communities have shown that, yes, women are key to the success of Rotary. From the Comox Valley, this is Judi Murakami for Shaw TV. In 1997, Island Voices Chamber Choir was formed. It's become a family, it's become a very supportive group, and it's become a group that loves to sing together, play together, and support each other.
Well, I have been involved with Island Voices for more than 20 years now. I was one of the founding members, so when Frances Keene started the choir, I was one of those probably 15 or 16 people that she got to join the choir. And I sang with the choir for, well, since then. Fran sadly passed away in 2006. So when Fran got sick, she and I kind of tag teamed, the choir kept going. And then when she passed, I conducted until 2014, and then we got Jen, fortunately.
I love the challenge. I love the community, and I love the spirit of growth and commitment to making really beautiful art and doing it in community. So I personally feel challenged as a musician, as a conductor, to work, to be one step ahead and to be innovative in the music that is selected and the opportunities in which we have to perform to get ourselves out into the community and grow. I'm stretched as a musician, I'm stretched as a conductor, and that's a good thing.
Jen sings with a lot of different groups, with a lot of different genres, because she finds that when she stretches, she grows, and she understands more about the music, the tone, the timbre.
So I think that each area of a person's musicianship informs the other, and music is quite obviously a huge part of my life. And so I have a jazz ensemble that performs regularly together, and I make it an effort to collaborate with as many different musicians as possible and try out as many different styles as possible. So for example, I jam and play with a Grateful Dead kind of tribute band from time to time. I also play with local singer-songwriters. I've dabbled in bluegrass, I've dabbled in rock and roll, and then I've got the whole choral piece of what I do, and certainly the music teaching part of what I do, which is global in terms of how I teach music to my children and give the experience of learning music from all parts of the world.
It's kind of a family feeling, like there is so much commitment to the music, to each other, that you always leave feeling you have more energy than when you started. The music is always beautiful, challenging. We have to work our little buns off sometimes, but the music is often inspirational, really gets your brain working, but gets your heart working too. It's an audition choir, so people are chosen to be in the choir based on the quality of their voice and also on their ability to blend with the other people in the choir. But it's kind of that commitment and that the love of music and the love of creating. There are no divas in Island Voices. We have some amazing voices, but it's not like anybody's ever going to say, oh, I have to do this or I have to do that, I'm the best, right? Everybody works so cooperatively together, and the music we can produce is often, well, that gives you the chills kind of music.
So congratulations, Island Voices Chamber Choir. 2 thumbs up for 20 years of good work. From the Comox Valley, this is Judi Murakami for Shaw TV.